Richard Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, was an American serial killer who committed a series of gruesome crimes in California during the mid-1980s. Ramirez was born in El Paso, Texas, on February 29, 1960. His childhood was troubled, marked by head injuries and early involvement with drugs. He was also influenced by his uncle, a former Vietnam soldier, who exposed him to violent images and introduced him to the world of crime. Ramirez's crime spree began in June 1984 and lasted until August 1985. During this period, he committed murders, sexual assaults, and burglaries, choosing his victims at random, which created a state of terror in the Los Angeles area. He would enter victims' homes at night, earning him the nickname Night Stalker. His crimes were characterized by extraordinary violence, using various methods to kill his victims, such as stabbing, beating, and shooting. Ramirez also showed an interest in witchcraft and Satanism, leaving satanic symbols at crime scenes, earning him another nickname, Satan's Messenger. Childhood and adolescence. Ramirez was negatively influenced by his uncle Miguel, a Vietnam War veteran. Miguel showed Richard gruesome photos of killings and rapes he committed during the war. This exposure to violence had a significant impact on Ramirez. He began using drugs at an early age, particularly marijuana, and became involved in thefts and minor crimes. Start of the crimes. In 1984, Ramirez moved to California, where his spree of heinous crimes began. His first confirmed victim was Jenny Vincow, who was stabbed to death in June 1984. Over time, his crimes became more violent and varied. Early crimes, June 22, 1984. Jenny Vincow, 79 years old, Ramirez's first confirmed victim, stabbed to death in her apartment in Glassell Park, Los Angeles. March 17, 1985. Dale Okazaki, 34 years old, and Tsilian Veronica, 63 years old. Ramirez entered their home in Monterey Park, California. He shot Dale in the head and stabbed Veronica to death. March 27, 1985. Vincent Zazera, 64 years old, and his wife Maxine, 44 years old. Ramirez broke into their home in Whittier, California. He shot Vincent in the head and stabbed Maxine, removing her eyes. May 14, 1985. Bill Doy, 66 years old, and his wife Lillian, 56 years old. Ramirez attacked the couple in their home in Monterey Park, California. He shot Bill, raped, and stabbed Lillian to death. May 29, 1985. Mabel "Mob" Bell, 83 years old, and her sister Florence "Nettie" Lang, 81 years old. He broke into their home in Monrovia, California, and beat them with a hammer before drawing a pentagram on Ma Bell's body. July 2, 1985. Mary Louise Cannon, 75 years old, stabbed to death in her home in Arcadia, California. July 7, 1985. Joyce Nelson, 61 years old, beaten to death in her home in Monterey Park, California. July 20, 1985. Chainarong Kovananth, 32 years old, shot in his home in Sun Valley, California, while his wife Somkid was raped. August 24, 1985. Bill Carnes, 30 years old, and his fiancée Inez Erickson, 29 years old. Ramirez broke into their home in Mission Viejo, California, shot Bill, and raped Inez, who survived. Interest in witchcraft and Satanism. Over time, Ramirez developed a clear interest in witchcraft and Satanism. He read books about black magic and participated in rituals related to the devil. This aspect of his life was part of his criminal identity and influenced how he committed his crimes. Satanic symbols at crime scenes. During his crimes, Ramirez sometimes left satanic symbols at the crime scenes. For instance, he would draw pentagrams on the walls or bodies of his victims, a symbol associated with black magic and Satanism. In one crime, he left a message written in lipstick on the wall that said, "Jack the Knife," reflecting his enjoyment of chaos and terror. Flaunting Satanism in court. During his trial, Ramirez continued to flaunt his satanic leanings. In one session, he raised his hand to show a pentagram drawn on his palm and shouted, "Hail Satan!" He wore black clothes and exhibited an arrogant demeanor, adding to the terror surrounding his persona. Life in prison. Even after his arrest, Ramirez continued his interest in Satanism and witchcraft. He received numerous letters from fans who shared his interests and had a following of people who saw him as a dark, alluring figure. Ramirez married Doreen Leoe, a journalist who believed in his innocence and shared his interest in the occult while in prison. Death. Ramirez died on June 7, 2013, due to complications from lymphoma while still in San Quentin State Prison, awaiting execution. His interest in witchcraft and Satanism was an integral part of his criminal life and contributed to his image as one of the most terrifying serial killers in modern history.